habe die Dampfmaschine zu meinem, ich glaube, es war das.
I got the steam engine. I think I was 7 years old for Christmas. He then asked me what I'd do with it, how I'd play with it.
Wie ich damit spiele, auch im Garten zum Beispiel.
In the garden, for example, I was allowed. I probably shouldn't say this. My grandmother must never know, but I was sometimes allowed to drive the lawnmower tractor when I was 7 or 8, without the mowing equipment, of course, so that I'd learn how this sort of thing worked. It was important to him that I also developed a feeling for technology, learned how mechanical things work. The fact is that we, as a family, still have this in our DNA and express it.
Wir sind natürlich geprägt.
We have a natural inclination from the past. I grew up there learning a lot from my grandfather, just as my mother.
A future also needs a past. And we, as a company, were not always so big. My parents had a very, very difficult start. My mother and my father met while on an excursion in 1943.
I noticed him because he always asked the professor very clever questions. He loved all sorts of questions. He said that questions never made one more stupid, but always just cleverer. He had very definite ideas about what one should want and be able to do in technology after this terrible war, how one could use it for civilian purposes.
Technology for the benefit of humanity was always a guiding principle for my grandfather. But not just for my grandfather, but also for the company. One can see this in the past. Some of the products that he developed were really so varied, but he simply saw all the problems out there in the world.
For example, we were driving through the Rhineland and suddenly he saw a chimney stack. And he said, "Oh, that's crazy, the stuff that's coming out in the smoke. Surely one can't do that, one can't allow that." And he wanted to improve it. In fact, he always wanted to make the world a bit better. The truth is, though, my father really had very little time. He was always deep in his thoughts, fiddling about with something, inventing, working. But it was nature that was important to him. So then we went hiking, bike riding, we went up into the mountains and so forth. And that's how my understanding of nature grew and became strong. Or maybe it's inherited or something like that. This is my passion. I'm committed to it, for my children, for my daughters, and for future generations, that we keep nature protected and look after it.
Even if we only know our grandfather from stories or from photos or videos, we have or feel a strong connection with our grandfather and try to continue to spread his values, the values that were simply important for him.
The core values, independence, innovation, leadership, are actually also my grandfather's guiding principles.
Die Leitsätze von meinem Großvater, ja. Also ich habe als Kind.
As a child, I very often heard that one must stay ahead technologically. So this is innovation as well as leadership. So the topic was technical excellence. The topic of independence was very, very important for my grandfather. It is also a topic that is the reason for why we are where we are today, because we were always independent, because we think in the long term, as a family.
I think it is particularly good that the various areas are very well distributed among the family. Environmental protection is also very important for us because we're both still relatively young. And it is, after all, about our future and the future of coming generations for whom we also want to fight.
Precisely because we are such a small family, so each of us simply has a strong connection with the company and wants to make their contribution to it so that the company will also be successful in the future.
Thanks to the internship that we did in the company last summer, we have also gained more and more understanding about the corporate culture so that our connectedness has also grown and grown.
The way that I see it now, I think that we are definitely well positioned thanks to every single really fully committed employee.
The employees are the company's treasure, and we have fantastic employees here.
And now, a trainee has said after his 3 years, they were the most wonderful 3 years. And he only wants to say again how important the people in this company are. The young people are always enthusiastic here. And this is to the credit of our good training team, who also enable the young people to develop their own ideas, and who can also show them that they can experiment, that they will also be given the time to make the occasional mistake. There are many principles that were very important for my father, and I am pleased that this is also still such an important factor now.
One of the key success factors for the future is undoubtedly how we can generate and provide useful data. We are, I think, very well positioned here. IT, software development, and AI topics are of course very important for us. Sensor technology will always remain our core competence. I am certain that in the future we will also be one of the major players in sensor technology. It will be very interesting to see how we as a family will be positioned for the 100th Jubilee, the big Jubilee. It is undoubtedly the case that my 2 cousins will be involved, for sure, and this is also very important for me. It is, of course, fantastic that we will then look back at such a history. And I think, and I hope, and I will do everything possible to ensure that I will also be able to pass this on to my children in a good and successful position.